I have this ongoing cyberpunk short story writing project. I would like to tell you how I'm progressing, where I get my inspiration from, and also ask you if you are writing short stories too, or if you are interested to do that, and if so, in what genre. I'm an avid fantasy and mythological reader, but I have chosen cyberpunk as my genre, and there is a few reasons for that. One reason is that it's relatable to modern humans if you want to write social realistic stories. You can do that in fantasy, and you have the grimdark genre, of course, but I still think that cyberpunk genre can be a bit more relatable. You also have the class conflict in cyberpunk. You have the aesthetics of cyberpunk, which breathes stratification, social stratification. You have the environment which sprawls. You have the dystopian character of cyberpunk, which unfortunately can be relatable in our time. But with that, you can put in characters who have hope or create meaningful relations. So that is one of the reasons I have chosen cyberpunk. What have I been doing? I have set aside 2 hours each week to just write. Just focus on writing, no focus on quality. I've done that now uh, 3 times. So I've been spending time to flesh out my main character. In the first short story, I will tell you a bit about him, and I don't expect to become something big, and um, so I can just as well share my ideas with you. This is just for fun, as I said. So my main character so far, my ideas is or my sketch is that he's a middle-aged man. He's upper middle class. He has just lost his job when we meet him, and he is in a dystopian Scandinavia with heavy monsoon rain. Actually, I heard from a relative that in the future the climate in Scandinavia, the dystopian version is that it's going to be so cold here. So I might change climate in the future. At the moment, it's monsoon. He's lost his job because of AI, and he is like a person from the past. So even though this is maybe year 3000 in Scandinavia, he has these ideas that he doesn't like AI, or at least he thought it was better before the AI. But and losing his job is one reason for hating AI, for example. That is relatable to some people today, unfortunately. And but in this case, he lives in a world where AI, cyberware, etc., is very, very common and something that people use. And because of a very tragic accident, um, he will be forced to depend on AI and so on, cyberware, robotics, and so on. So it will become a value conflict within him, and there will become more value conflicts because he has had the opportunity of being in the upper middle class, maybe higher, let's see. So he hasn't been forced to do dirty work like committing crimes and so on. But because he loses his job, he probably will get into that kind of sector too, and that will also challenge his worldviews. And the idea is that it can be very simple to have idealistic views if you're not forced to live in the lower strata of society. For example, you are forced to do things that you did not uh, anticipate at all. Sorry, this, I have this mic and it's a bit like this. I will do like this instead. So yeah, he's upper class society and falls down. And then he has to meet a lot of challenges that people already on the lower end of society already faces. That will challenge his values. He is in a cyberpunk aesthetic world, of course, and I've been traveling around here in the Stockholm area, and I was recently in the west of Sweden too, looking at places like harbors, um, central stations or train stations, pubs, clubs, so on, to just get a feeling how could the city look for our character, whose name at the moment is Henry. Not sure why I got the name, but it just popped out when I was writing and had some Tindersticks music in the background. Henry sounded good. Let's see. What do you think about that name? I also looked extra at the sprawls. In cyberpunk, there is this concept of sprawl, means extreme urbanization, as I understand it, with mostly like slum, I would say, but it can be other housing, like upper class, middle class. It's all in it's all connected. It sits together. It's urbanization. We can't imagine that kind of urbanization, I suppose. But there is, inspiration of the sprawl from some places in Hong Kong for many early cyberpunk settings. I, as you know, been traveling a lot in my country of birth, which is India, and I would like to say, or would like to state at least, that there are a lot of sprawls there. But since this takes place in Scandinavia, I have to put it in a Scandinavian context, and there we also have the not sprawl at all, but it's growing a little bit sprawly here in the Stockholm area, for example, and also around the major cities. But during the 60s, they were building a lot of houses in Sweden because of the shortage of apartments, and that was called a million program. It's a political concept, building 1 million apartments during 1 year. And unfortunately, many of these areas today is areas where unemployment are high, and there can be social problems and so on. So these areas can work as an inspiration for me. I grew up in 1 million program area when I was small, so I have the experience of that too. So with no comparison to like situations in other parts of the world, like in Brazil or India or East Asia, for example. Still, for the imagination, it can work. Let's see. So I've been doing some excursion. I really recommend it to you if you do write, and also to set up, set aside time so you really do writing. That is important. I'm in a very early stage, so I just write. The plot comes from my heart. So I will just start to write, see if I can come up to these 4,000 words, and then I will try to structure my story and pace my story and put in a better Swedish and English. I'm writing two versions, one English, one Swedish. I have also been doing some research on crime in Western Europe, especially in Scandinavia, because of course this is cyberpunk, so there will be elements of crime. So just how the scene looks like here in Scandinavia, and what type of crime can be common in my cyberpunk world. So I will reveal that later. But one thing that we have in Scandinavia is that we have a huge welfare state, and without getting political, of course that is good for many people, and but there is also a lot of money that the municipals and the state have, so there is a kind of welfare crime. It's everywhere in the world, I'm sure, even if the welfare state is not big, but that could be a kind of Scandinavian trait when it comes to crime, especially if you link that to AI. So that can be a bit interesting, at least for the short story. Let's see. There are also other kind of crime here, organized crime, like everywhere in the world. So since cyberpunk is dystopian, I imagine this will increase and be of beneficial use for the story as well. I also will add some political challenges, but this is just a short story, so I don't have the time to put in everything here. But as a backdrop or a setting, there could be some information about the political situation, which I imagine is very dystopian in Scandinavia at this time. And my intention is that the democracy is gone, but there are people remembering democracy in this world. So yeah, they can maybe fight for that. I'm not sure if I would want to take that kind of hero's journey, epic journey story in these short stories. I am sure I don't have time for that, but it's an interesting idea to have this backdrop. Another idea with the backdrop or the setting is to have the East Berlin and Soviet Union existing. So yeah, let's see if I will do that. So people can refer to that when they are talking and speaking, when it's appropriate. And then I'm also thinking about factions. So a bit inspired here by Fallout and also Outer Worlds, which I'm playing now and enjoying immensely. It's not cyberpunk though, but why not? Inspiration from these kind of games to get some humor in the story. Maybe that could be good. So why not an elk faction or something like that? I imagine that this society is tribal on one end, and then it's very organized, and the other end, but with corrupt politicians and of course major multinational companies. This is a very common cyberpunk trope, but I will try to use that in the beginning when I write, and then let's see if I can put in some more personality to it and change that. Secular, of course, faction would be very interesting because Scandinavia is a very, very secular. People are not at least stating that they believe in God. But since this is a crisis for society, the situation in my cyberpunk universe, of course, there are a lot of people who turn to God or turn to cults and so on. So those three would be very nice to elaborate a bit upon. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is very interesting. I think this is very fun. I hope I can send that energy out to you. So if you want to write, just do it. Find something fun. It's very interesting. I have a lot of inspiration for this, and just what show you a point basically, and show you the books in the screen here. The cyberpunk role-playing game is a great source for this, and that is so far, especially the characters and the professions that they can have, like netrunner or samurai or and so on. There are many. You can be a hacker, of course. Maybe that's the netrunner, right? All the kind of classes, you could say, and all the kind of skills they can have. So that book is great for that. Of course, the cyberpunk game is a great inspiration, and also the comics as well, which I have showed you in another video. So please look into that. Altered Carbon, interesting book where people have skins, so to speak, which it seems like they hire from companies. The people seems not being able to die, but because they are reincarnated in a way, but then they get a skin or a body. It's called sleeves, right? Yes, sleeves, and they are owned by the company. So that's an interesting perspective. Let's see what I can do with that. Also, the video game Citizen Sleeper is interesting. A similar story, actually, but about a person who has been owned by a company, but he's been and the company gives him like oxygen and food and so on, but he has removed his cyberware, which is the company's owning, and because of that, he has to work every day, and he has to buy medicine every day. And this is a very special game. It's not like cyberpunk. This you roll dice in the video game, and then it's a narrative game. So I really recommend you to look into that. And the ambient feeling is total, and it's really relaxing in the video game. Almost done with the Do Androids Dream of Electrical Sheep. Here we have the aspect of empathy, the empathy of being human. If you don't have empathy, are you human then? So I'm talking about that in my latest video about what I'm reading, so check into that too. There is this philosophical aspect of science fiction, and also I would like to add that into cyberpunk, and there are authors that write that kind of cyberpunk too, I've heard from some people on Instagram. And the other book I'm getting a lot of inspiration from is Akira, about this boy, Tetsuo, who is thrown into a very political drama. He's just a motorbike boy, but he's in an accident, and there happen mysterious things, and suddenly he is in a kind of drama with a multinational or political corrupt organizations. Haven't come so far into the book, but the setting is nice, and also these panels in the book are beautiful. Let's make a special video about that, so I don't tire you out today. So this is just was just a check-in about my short story writing project. So I hope I have progressed further next time we meet. If you are interested to follow my writing, please like this video, share and subscribe, and please write in the comments if it's something you especially want me to talk about. And if you are writing cyberpunk stories, books, or short stories too, why not connect? So have a nice day. We'll see you more of each other during the weekend. So I'm happy to see you again. Thank you. Bye. Happy writing, happy reading.